You know that feeling the moment you realize something isn't right? It starts with a missing persons report. A teenager, full of life, vanishes without a trace. A small town in Virginia holds its breath. Days turn into weeks. The search grows desperate, and then they found her car totally abandoned. Not wrecked, not damaged, just left behind. Surveillance footage shows her last moments in public, a gas station, a stranger, a conversation that should have meant nothing. And then she was gone. Something happened to Alexis Murphy that night. The man last seen with her, he had secrets, dark ones. And when police found what was inside his home, it was already too late. This is a story of Alexis Murphy and the predator who thought he could erase her. But justice has a way of finding its way back, and the truth is darker than anyone expected. She was the kind of person you couldn't help but notice. Born on June 5, 1996 in Charlottesville, Virginia, Alexis was more than just a high school senior. She was a leader, the captain of her volleyball team, a girl with an infectious laugh, and a social butterfly who seemed to know everyone. Her confidence shined on and off the court. Whether she was spiking a volleyball or hyping up her teammates, Alexis had this rare energy. This ability to make the people around her feel seen, feel valued. She loved fashion and social media. She was that girl, the one who always had the perfect outfit, the biggest smile, the loudest support for her friends and family. Her home life was full of love. She grew up in Lovingston, Virginia, with her parents, Laura Ann Murphy and Troy William Brown, and her brothers, Avery and Cameron Murphy. To the world, she was a teenager with big dreams. To her family, she was irreplaceable. And in the days before everything changed, Alexis was just like any other 17-year-old, excited about the future, ready to take on the world. But sometimes, life doesn't wait for you to finish writing your story. And for Alexis, that future, the one she was so ready for, would never come. By the way, if you're finding this story important, please like and subscribe. It helps us reach more people and make sure these stories are heard. My name is Chris, and thanks for being here. Let's go back to the story. It started as a normal summer evening, August 3, 2013. Alexis Murphy walked out the front door of her home in Lovingston, Virginia, with a purpose. She was heading to Lynchburg to get her hair done. It wasn't just a casual trip. She had plans. She had things to do. She was 17, young, full of life, and excited for what was ahead. But that night, she never came home. When Alexis didn't return, her family felt it immediately. This wasn't like her. Alexis wasn't the type to just disappear. But the next day, worry turned to fear. Her grandmother, growing increasingly anxious, made the call. A missing person report was filed. Authorities were notified, but no one could have imagined what they were about to uncover. Security footage, that's where they started. They tracked Alexis's last known movements to a gas station in Lovingston. And that's when they saw it, Alexis on camera, and a man in the background, watching, following. And then her car. Days later, Alexis's white Nissan Maxima was found in a parking lot near a movie theater in Charlottesville, about 35 miles from where she was last seen. The keys were missing. Her phone was gone. Something was wrong, very wrong. At first, investigators considered the usual possibilities. Maybe she ran away. Maybe there was a misunderstanding. But as the hours passed, it became clear. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a misunderstanding. Something happened to Alexis Murphy, and whatever it was something much, much worse. Alexis Murphy's disappearance wasn't just a case of a missing girl. It was a mystery tangled in chilling possibilities. The moment investigators realized Alexis had vanished without a trace, theories started to take shape. Each one raised disturbing questions. Each one painted a different version of what might have happened that night. Theory number 1, the targeted abduction. From the very beginning, investigators suspected Alexis may have been targeted. She was young, she was vibrant, she was active on social media. Had someone been watching her, following her routine? The gas station footage showed Alexis entering the store, seemingly unaware that a man was lurking in the background. That man was later identified as Randy Taylor, a local with a criminal record. He was last seen interacting with Alexis before she disappeared. But here's the disturbing part. Taylor denied knowing Alexis at all. If that's true, why did police later find strands of her hair and a broken fingernail inside his camper? Had he been watching her, planning this? And if so, was this his first time? Theory number 2, a robbery gone wrong. At first, Alexis's car being found abandoned near a theater suggested a possible carjacking or robbery. Maybe she had been at the wrong place at the wrong time. Maybe someone forced her to drive before things escalated. But there was a problem. Her car wasn't damaged. It wasn't stripped for parts. And if robbery was the motive, why was Alexis the only thing missing? Had the suspect staged the scene to make it look like she had run away? Or was there any other reason her car was left there? Theory number 3, the human trafficking connection. Alexis's case wasn't just another isolated incident. Around the same time, multiple young women had gone missing in Virginia. Similar ages, similar profiles. Could she have been kidnapped for something even more sinister? Investigators looked into the possibility, questioning if Alexis had been taken and moved out of the area. Her sudden disappearance and the lack of immediate clues left this theory on the table for weeks. But then, something changed. Police honed in on one suspect, and the moment they did, this case took a horrifying turn. What do you think? If you were the detective, what would you have focused on first? For months, Alexis Murphy's case remained a mystery. A missing girl, a car left behind, a family desperate for answers. But then, the investigators found their suspect. Randy Taylor was the last person seen with Alexis. At first, he denied everything, said he never met her, had no idea where she was. But police weren't convinced. Inside his camper, they found a strand of Alexis's hair and a broken fingernail. That was enough. Taylor was arrested and charged with Alexis Murphy's abduction and murder. But the most chilling part, Alexis's body was still missing. During the trial, Taylor continued to claim he was innocent. He even tried to blame someone else, a man named Damian Brown, suggesting that Brown had taken Alexis and that he had nothing to do with it. But the prosecution wasn't buying it. They had DNA evidence, they had phone records, they had surveillance footage showing Alexis interacting with Taylor at the gas station. And in 2014, Randy Taylor was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to 2 life terms in prison. But even with Taylor behind bars, one question remained. Where was Alexis? For years, her family held on to hope. Without a body, there was always a sliver of doubt. Had she really been murdered? Was she still out there somewhere? It wasn't until 7 years later, in 2020, that the truth finally came to light. Her remains were found in Lovingston, Virginia. It was official. Alexis Murphy has been murdered. And while her family finally had some closure, it was a heartbreak that never should have happened. But even with justice served, some things still doesn't make sense. Why did Taylor try to frame another man? Did he act alone? And the biggest question of all, was Alexis his only victim? Because here's the thing, Alexis's case wasn't the first time a young woman disappeared in Virginia under eerily similar circumstances. And it wouldn't be the last. So the real question is, how many more are out there? Alexis Murphy should have gone home that night. She should have walked through that front door, laughed with her family, and told them about her plans for the future. But she never did. Her mother, her brothers, her entire family spent years waiting for answers, clinging to hope that maybe, just maybe, she would come back. And when they finally got the truth, it wasn't the one they had prayed for, 7 years too late. Because here's the truth, Alexis wasn't Taylor's first victim. Years before, another young woman, Samantha Clark, disappeared under the exact same circumstances, same area, same patterns, same suspect, but no arrest, no justice. If someone had taken Samantha's case more seriously, would Alexis still be here? How many chances were there to stop him? How many warnings were ignored? And worst of all, how many more are out there? Because Alexis wasn't the last. Over the years, Virginia has seen too many disappearances that follow the same terrifying blueprint. Young women, small towns, vanishing without a trace. And in so many cases, justice comes too late, if it comes at all. But Alexis wasn't just a victim, she was a daughter, a sister, a leader on her volleyball team, a bright, ambitious 17-year-old with her entire future ahead of her. And her story should never be reduced to just another statistic. So we say her name, we remember who she was. Because for every Alexis, for every Samantha, there's always another case waiting to be solved. The only question is, will we listen before it's too late? On this next case, we uncovered something truly disturbing. Click to watch now.